I met Leo at a coffee shop on a rainy Tuesday. I was a graphic designer working at a small firm. He was painting in the corner, watercolors, a cityscape. He was so focused he did not notice me watching him. I watched him for 20 minutes. Then I walked over and asked if I could buy him a cup of coffee. He looked up at me with those kind eyes and smiled. He said, "I do not drink coffee." I said, "Tea then." He said, "I do not drink tea either." I said, "What do you drink?" He said, "Water." I bought him a water. We talked for 3 hours. He told me he was an artist. He told me he lived in a small studio on the other side of the city. He told me his family did not approve of his career choice. He told me he had not spoken to his father in years. He did not tell me why. I did not ask. I assumed it was the usual story. Parents want their child to be a doctor or a lawyer. Child wants to paint. Parents are disappointed. I had no idea how wrong I was. We started dating. He was poor, really poor. His apartment had no heat in the winter. He cooked on a hot plate. He wore the same jacket every day. He walked everywhere because he could not afford the bus. But he never complained. He never asked me for money. He never made me feel like I was dating a project. He painted every day. His work was beautiful. Abstract landscapes, emotional portraits, scenes from the city that made you see things you had never noticed before. He sold a piece here and there, not enough to live on, but enough to keep going. I fell in love with him, not because of what he could become, because of who he was, kind, gentle, present. He listened when I spoke. He remembered the small things. He made me feel seen in a way no one else ever had. After a year, he asked me to marry him. He did not have a ring. He could not afford one. He got down on one knee in his cold studio and held out a painting he had made of the two of us. It was the most beautiful thing anyone had ever given me. I said yes. I told my parents the next day. I drove to their house, the big house in the suburbs, the house I grew up in. The house with the pool and the guest house and the 3-car garage. My parents had worked hard for that house. They valued money, they valued security, they valued status. I sat them down in the living room. I told them about Leo, about his art, about his cold studio, about his hot plate, about the painting he had given me instead of a ring. My mother asked how much he made. I said not much. She asked what his parents did. I said I did not know. She asked where he went to school. I said art school. She asked if he had a degree. I said yes. She asked if he had a job. I said he is an artist. She looked at my father. He looked at the floor. My mother said, "You cannot marry him." I said, "I love him." She said, "Love does not pay the bills." I said, "I have a job. I pay my own bills." She said, "What about children? What about a house? What about retirement? What about emergencies? What about everything we worked to give you?" I said, "I did not ask you for anything." She said, "You are throwing your life away." I stood up. I said, "I am choosing my life, not yours." But my father finally spoke. He said, "If you marry him, we will cut you off. No inheritance, no help, no safety net. You will be on your own." I said, "I have been on my own since I graduated college. I do not need your money." He pulled an envelope from his jacket, the check. He held it out. He said, "This is your inheritance. If you walk out that door, you will never see it." I looked at the envelope. I thought about the house with the pool, the car my father bought me when I turned 16, the tuition they paid for my degree, all the things they had given me, all the strings attached. I walked out the door. My mother called after me. She said, "You will regret this. He will never give you anything. He is nothing. He comes from nothing. He will always be nothing." I did not look back. Lo and I got married at City Hall. No flowers, no music, no guests. Just us and a judge and a woman we asked to be our witness. I wore a white dress I bought at a thrift store for $20. He wore the only suit he owned, the same one he wore to his college graduation. We said our vows. We signed the papers. The judge pronounced us husband and wife. Leo kissed me. I cried. He cried. The woman who witnessed our wedding cried too. She said she had never seen anything so beautiful. We went back to his cold studio. We ate takeout Chinese food on the floor. We danced to music from his phone. We stayed up all night talking about our future, the house we would buy someday, the children we would have, the life we would build together. meant we did not know how we would afford any of it, but we did not care. We had each other. That was enough. The first year was hard. Leo sold a few paintings, not enough. I worked overtime at my design job. We moved to a slightly better apartment, still small, still cold, but it had heat. That felt like luxury. My family did not call. They did not visit. They did not acknowledge that I existed. My mother told relatives I had run off with a con artist. My father told friends I had made my bed, and now I had to lie in it. I heard all of this through cousins who still spoke to me. It hurt. But I did not let it break me. Leo held me on the nights when it hurt the most. He reminded me that I had chosen him, that I had chosen love, that I had chosen a life of meaning over a life of appearances. He told me I was brave. He told me I was strong. He told me he would spend the rest of his life trying to be worthy of that choice. And I believed him. 4 years into our marriage, the call came. Leo's phone rang at 7 in the morning. He was in the kitchen making coffee. I heard him answer. I heard him go quiet. I walked into the kitchen. He was standing by the window with his back to me. His shoulders were shaking. I thought he was crying. I put my hand on his arm. He turned around. He was not crying. He was in shock. He said my father died. I did not know what to say. He never talked about his father. He never mentioned his family at all. I knew he was estranged from them. I knew they did not approve of his art. But I did not know the details. I never asked. I said, I am so sorry, Leo. He said, do not be sorry. He was not a good man. I held him. He did not cry. He just stood there in my arms staring at the wall. He looked lost. The funeral was 3 days later. Leo did not want to go, but his mother called. She begged him to come. She said it would mean a lot to the family. She said there were things he needed to know. Leo agreed. He asked me to come with him. I said, of course. We flew to New York, first class. His mother sent tickets. I had never flown first class before. The seats were big, the food was good. The flight attendants knew our names. I felt like I was in a movie. Leo was quiet the whole flight. He stared out the window. He did not eat. He did not sleep. He just sat there with his hands folded in his lap. I asked if he wanted to talk about it. He shook his head. I held his hand. That was enough. The funeral was at a massive church in Manhattan. The kind of church where celebrities get married and politicians get buried. There were hundreds of people. Men in suits. Women in black dresses. Security guards at every door. Photographers outside. I did not understand. I thought Leo's father was just a man. A businessman maybe. Someone with a nice house and a retirement account. I did not understand why there were photographers. Leo led me through the crowd. People stared at him. People whispered. I heard someone say, that is the son. I heard someone say I thought he was dead to the family. I heard someone say he looks just like his father. We sat in the front row. Leo's mother was there. She was a beautiful woman in an expensive black dress. She did not look at us. She stared straight ahead at the casket. The service was long. People spoke about Leo's father. They called him a titan of industry, a philanthropist, a visionary. They said he built an empire from nothing. They said he employed thousands of people. They said he would be remembered for generations. I leaned over to Leo. I whispered, what did your father do? Leo whispered he owned half of Manhattan. I thought he was joking. He was not joking. After the service, we went to the reading of the will. A private room. A lawyer with gray hair and a gold watch. Leo's mother was there. His 2 sisters were there. A few other relatives I did not recognize. The lawyer read the will. Leo's father had left almost everything to his only son. $3 billion. Real estate. Art collections. A private jet. A house in the Hamptons. A penthouse on Fifth Avenue. I sat in that room with my mouth open. I looked at Leo. He was not smiling. He was not celebrating. He looked like he wanted to disappear. His mother started screaming. She said, this cannot be right. He promised me. He promised the girls. He promised we would be taken care of. The lawyer said the will is clear. Everything goes to Leo. The rest of you receive a small annuity, enough to live on, not enough to control. His sisters started crying. His mother kept screaming. Leo stood up. He said, I do not want this. He said, I never wanted any of this. He said he cut me off because I chose art. He said I was dead to him. And now he wants me to have everything. The lawyer said the will is legally binding. You cannot refuse it. You can give money away after you receive it, but you cannot refuse the inheritance. Leo sat down. He put his head in his hands. I put my arm around him. I whispered, "We will figure this out together." He looked at me. He said, "I am sorry. I should have told you. I should have told you who he was." I said, "It does not matter who he was. You are my husband. That is all that matters." He kissed my forehead. He stood up. He walked out of the room. I followed him. Behind us, his mother was still screaming. We flew home the next day. Leo was quiet again. He did not want to talk about the money. He did not want to talk about his father. He just wanted to go back to our small apartment and paint. I gave him space. I went back to work. I did not tell anyone about the inheritance. It did not feel real. It felt like a dream or a nightmare. A month later, the lawyers called. They needed Leo to sign papers. They needed him to transfer assets. They needed him to come to New York and take control of his father's empire. Leo refused. He said he did not want any of it. He said he would sign everything over to his mother and sisters. He said they could have it all. Blend. The lawyers said that was not possible. The will was ironclad. Leo's father had spent years making sure his son could not give the money away. There were clauses and trusts and legal structures designed to keep the wealth in Leo's hands. Leo was trapped. He was a billionaire, whether he wanted to be or not. He came home that night and sat on the couch and stared at the wall. I sat beside him. I held his hand. He said, "I do not know who I am anymore." I said, "You are Leo, my husband, the man who painted our wedding portrait, the man who eats cereal for dinner because he forgets to buy groceries, the man who makes me laugh even when I want to cry. That is who you are." Mend. He said that man did not have $3 billion. I said that man still does not have $3 billion. The money is not you. It is just something that happened to you. He looked at me. He said, "How are you so calm?" And I said, "Because I married you when you had nothing. I loved you when you had nothing. I will love you when you have everything. Nothing has changed." He pulled me close. He held me for a long time. News of the inheritance spread. It always does. The newspapers ran stories. The son no one knew. The artist who was cut off. The billionaire who painted watercolors in a cold studio. My family saw the news. My mother called me for the first time in 4 years. She said, "Clara, I saw the most amazing thing on the internet. Is it true? Is your husband really the son of that man?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I always knew you would do well. I always knew you would marry someone important." I said, "You called him a broke artist. You said I was throwing my life away. You cut me off because you thought he was nothing." She said, "I was wrong. I made a mistake. Can we please talk?" I said, "You did not want to talk when I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor. You did not want to talk when Leo was painting in a cold studio. You did not want to talk when we could not afford to buy groceries. You only want to talk now because there is money." She said, "That is not true." "Ben," I said, "It is exactly true." She started crying. She said, "Please, Clara. I am your mother. I love you." I said, "You have a funny way of showing it." I hung up. My father called next. He left a voicemail. He said he was proud of me. He said he always knew I would make something of myself. He said he hoped we could put the past behind us. I deleted the voicemail. My cousins called. My aunts called. My uncles called. Everyone who had ignored me for 4 years suddenly wanted to be my best friend. They wanted invitations to the penthouse. They wanted loans. They wanted jobs. They wanted a piece of what they thought was mine. I stopped answering my phone. Leo and I talked for weeks about what to do with the money. He did not want it. I did not want it either. But we could not give it away. The will would not allow it. And so we decided to use it. We set up a foundation, a nonprofit that gives grants to young artists, painters and sculptors and musicians and writers who are struggling the way Leo struggled. We built studio spaces in low-income neighborhoods. We funded art programs in public schools. We bought supplies for artists who could not afford them. Leo still paints. He still works in a small studio. Not the cold one, a better one, with heat and light and space. But it is not fancy. It is not luxurious. It is just a room where he can create. We bought a house. A normal house. 3 bedrooms. A yard. A porch. Not a mansion. Not a penthouse. Just a home. We had a baby. A daughter. We named her after Leo's mother, not because we forgave her. Because Leo wanted to remember that even broken people can create beautiful things, my family still tries to reach out. My mother sends cards on my birthday. My father sends emails asking to meet his granddaughter. I do not respond. I am not angry anymore. I am just done. They made their choice. I made mine. I chose love over money. I chose a man with calloused hands and a kind heart over a check that came with strings attached. I chose a life of meaning over a life of appearances, and in the end, the money came anyway. Not because I chased it, because I did not. My family cut me off for marrying a broke artist. They said I was throwing my life away. They said he would never give me anything. They said I would regret it forever. They were wrong. He gave me everything. Not money, not status, not security. He gave me love. He gave me respect. He gave me a partnership built on trust and kindness and the quiet certainty that we would always choose each other. The money came later. The money does not matter. What matters is that I stood in my parents' living room and chose my own life. What matters is that I walked out the door and never looked back. What matters is that I was right. Dan, if you are going through something similar, here is my advice. Choose love. Choose the person who makes you feel seen. Choose the life that feels true to you. Do not let anyone tell you that money matters more. Do not let anyone convince you that security is worth more than happiness. The people who really love you will stay. The people who only love what you can give them will leave. Let them leave. I lost my family when I married Leo. But I gained something better, a husband who loves me, a daughter who needs me, a life that is mine, and in the end, I got the money too. Not that it matters. I would have been happy without it. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more tales of love, betrayal, and the courage to choose your own path. Click the bell for notifications. And remember, the people who doubt you do not define you. You define you.